Welcome to the Warrant and Finance Committee meeting, May 3rd. It's 6 p.m. The first thing we're going to do is pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, good evening, everybody. The first thing, I think I'm going to back up and start with Article 17. That's the one that we voted 5-1. That's the one that Tom had wanted a list of foreclosures identified in the town report, the annual town report. The selectmen the other night didn't see any reason to do that, so that is not changed, and so our vote stands.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Can I clarify that? Because that wasn't how I understood it was left.
Are they changing the warrant article?
Well, in the response that I sent you, it said that although discussed at the Board of Selectmen's meeting and agreed to get more information, follow-up question from the tax collector and treasurer that this list that the committee is looking to be added to the town report. The question is, are you looking for a list of town foreclosed properties or town properties that we waived foreclosure on? And I asked if if someone could reply to let us know, because we couldn't make once the selectmen's meeting happened, I went back to Michelle and we recapped what the selectmen said. If you remember that night, the selectmen didn't make a decision to not do anything with that article because we weren't clear on which list. They are different lists.
Yep. Go ahead, Tom.
It was, the question pertained to properties for which the selectmen had granted a waiving of the closure. So it would just be confined to that list for which a waiver was granted. And I don't have any problem with that, but it is a burden.
The waived list is required to go in the town report, and there is an amendment on the article, the new warrant that you have in front of you. If you look at Article 17, a line is added that says a list of waived foreclosures, because that's what Michelle believed you were referring to, in my theory, shall be listed in the annual town report by map and lot number.
Thank you.
And I added that to the article with the board's blessing once we got clarification on what.
Thank you. I raised that issue last year, and last year the selectmen refused to do that, as I recall. But I'm glad it's being done. It needs to be done. Thank you.
Article 25.
Excuse me,
Are we going to vote on this one?
Yes.
I think you need to vote on Article 17, being as it has changed.
Okay. Thank you, Ron.
An additional line was added, and that the article needs to be voted on again.
I ask for a motion on Article 17 to be voted.
Recommend adoption of the article as written.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor? 6-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Then moving on to Article 25. Bear with me here while I find it.
Page 11.
That is written the same, and if I understand correctly, the statute does not require us to carry the balance in the next fiscal year, but the treasurer obviously thinks it's a good idea. Is that right, Michelle?
Yeah, so a lot of this earned paid leave is basically being accumulated by fire and rescue. Unless somebody has a set schedule, it's fairly unlikely, or unless they have to leave early, very unlikely that this fund will be used. And rather than appropriating it every year, raising money by taxes every year, I thought to do it once. And if we need a little more next year, if it gets brought down, then we could add more next year, but it made more sense to just carry it rather than to keep raising it because it's not going to get used every year. So we have to fund it every year.
Thank you, Michelle. Hold on a minute, Tom.
Yep.
Can I have a motion on Article 25, please?
Make a motion, we accept Article 25 as written.
Is there a second? Seconded. Go ahead, Tom.
Okay, I guess I view this as an operating cost, and I am, as you know, adamantly opposed to carrying of operating costs from year to year to year for one very simple reason, and it makes it extremely difficult to budget, and it expands budgets and blows them up as things get included in there, and then that number gets carried on and on and on and on to the next year. So my recommendation is that we would modify that to delete the carry. You just, you know, when you start building budgets and carrying numbers, then the numbers get bigger and bigger and bigger over a period of time, and you can't rationally go back and construct the budget. That's my sum and substance. So I will be voting against it, to carry it, simply because it's carried, that's why. I don't have any objection to going into the town meeting, well, never mind.
Anybody else? All in favor of the motion, please lift your right hand. Those opposed? That's a negative vote. How are we gonna clear this?
What's the alternates, sir? I'm taking notes, and refuse on the voting here.
Holy smoke, sorry, Tucker.
Sorry, that was my bad.
Yeah, it was mine,
So
really.
that motion's dead.
So let's go back and vote again, please.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion then that since this failed, I would recommend an amendment to this to delete the carry, any unexpended funds into the next fiscal year from the article, and that we adopt it as amended. So the first thing we need to do is vote on the amendment.
Say that again, please.
First thing you need to do is clarify who the voting people are, who are authorized to be voting. David Winchell is,
Right.
Virginia
Yeah,
Shea.
Rollins, myself, Arnie, and Tom.
Thank you.
But remember, Tucker, your input is still valuable.
Appreciate it.
So your motion is what, Tom, again? To delete
Okay,
that word?
I will recommend that the, in quotes, section of the article, beginning with "and," to carry any unexpended funds into the next fiscal year 22-23, that portion of the article be deleted. We recommend the deletion of that portion of the article and to adopt the article as amended.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead, Virginia.
Do we use this tactic frequently, where we're carrying funds over, so that it could get kind of muddled, as Tom is like?
We're doing it more and more and more and more. It used to be automatic that if it was an operating fund, it didn't get carried. It lapsed and then you reappropriated, so every year you knew how much it was.
Okay.
Now that is no longer the case, and the consequence of this is we're developing these big lump sums in the bank that are sitting there serving nobody.
So my question is, how do you know what's in this puddle, this pot of money from one year to another? Is it hard to manage financially? I mean, if I can't see changing this one item, if it's a practice that we already have in place and it's working, but I don't know the answer to the question whether it's working.
We have several things that carry forward. The roads budget, their maintenance budget, and their paving budget carries forward. The Recreation Committee, that doesn't carry forward, but it lapses into their capital improvement fund. And APAT funds carry forward into a capital fund.
So other operating expenses are carrying forward as well. And I would urge you, if I can, to, the first year this is a requirement. Michelle's spent extensive training classes on it, and is a certified treasurer from the state of Maine. And numerous people have helped her come up with reasons of why it should happen this way.
Then I'll say again, I guess I'm not for changing one item if this is a practice that's already in place.
This is a new item.
I know this is a new item, but the general concept that that this idea of carrying over is already in place with other departments, and
Right, some there are and some there aren't.
sounds like it's working all right.
It's kind of a mix.
So why is this unique and we ought to shoot it down? I'm not getting that.
It's not that we're gonna try and shoot it down, it's just amending it, that's all. The money will still be appropriated,
Yeah.
okay?
I mean,
It's just don't
you want to
carry
get rid
it
of the
forward, that's
carryover. I
all.
get that.
Beyond that, nothing changed.
Yeah, it's not a no vote on the article.
Mr. Chairman?
No, I understand that. It's, I'm talking about whether it should be no on the carryover, or should it be yes? And it's not a unique situation, is what I'm hearing, in this town.
Right.
So why are we making an issue of this particular one? I mean, I could see if Tom or somebody else said, as a general matter, and it's not in the article, we shouldn't be doing this anymore in this town.
Right, and some people believe that, Virginia, we shouldn't be doing it at all.
But today, that's not the way this town is working.
Right, some we do carry over and some we don't.
So why make an example for a new precedent with this one? That's what I'm missing.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
Well, to your question, here's the list that you got from carry forward reserve funds. Like Tom says, we amass a whole bunch of money, $834,000. That's the carry forward reserve funds that the town has.
Tom?
The other observation I would make, Virginia, is that, again, going back, typically, historically, we don't carry operating funds. We never have, and this has begun to occur in the past between 5 and 10 years, that increasingly this has been inserted, and the consequence of that is, again, these huge lump sums that are sitting out there serving nobody. We're taxing this year's taxpayers to pay bills that might not be paid for 5 years. And again, I think it's an unethical. And in order to budget properly, we have to know what operating costs are year to year to year to year. And that's very difficult to determine when you carry funds, and then, as we do in some cases in these articles, over my objection, in addition to carrying them, appropriate them. Because then there's no control on the expense. But I've said all I have to say.
Yes, sir.
The numbers that Mr. Murray is looking at $800,000, a little skewed because of some circumstances that we've had in those reserves. Most of that money, a lot of that money is road related, and due to a situation, an unfortunate situation last year, a lot of those funds didn't spent. The problem is, if you don't pull those through, then what will end up happening is the taxpayer, they're getting that money. It's getting carried over, it will get spent. It would have been lost if we hadn't carried it over. So a lot of the reserve funds for like the roads were put there because, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, if somebody didn't show up to do a job, we didn't feel it was, fair that the taxpayer didn't spend the money. This year, the road account has a lot in it because of those circumstances, because of our road commissioner, passed. And his budget didn't get spent. If
would it be lost, David?
Because every year, okay, when you come to the fiscal year, it used to be that when we would have our payment money, if you didn't spend that money, it zeroed out, it went back in the undesignated fund.
So it's not lost money. It's money.
It's lost to.
It's lost to the department, I understand.
Okay, so-
Okay, when you say lost, yeah, I'm thinking the money's gone. No, the money's not gone, it's in the undesignated.
It's not expendable money at that point in time. And so there was a reason why we had those carryovers. I believe that the reason why we're doing this carryover on this one here is, you know, it's an unknown how much we're gonna spend every year. And it may not get used, but it's not gonna be added to unless absolutely necessary. So, when you do this $25,000, it is what it is. It's there, it gets picked away a little at a time. It's kind of like the Article 43 money, same idea. That money there, it's just sitting in the bank, but we pluck away as we spend it. It's no different.
Thank you, Mr. Winchell. Go ahead, Tom, then I want to vote on this.
The money's not lost. The way you do this properly is you lapse it and then reappropriate it at the town meeting so that the money is available if it needs to be. But the point is that the town meeting then has the option of deciding whether they want to carry that money and reapply it for some reason that the road commissioner can explain in that circumstance, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. It has happened in several times in recent years. But lapse it, then you know what you spent that year. And if you want to reappropriate it, that sum, do that in the same article for the next year. As opposed to just carrying where you have this account that doesn't tell you what you appropriated, what your expenses are for the coming year, what your budget expenses are.
Chair, respond to that. The only problem with your theory is the problem is with the fiscal year. So right now, we are doing budget time right now, right? Our fiscal year is July 1st. The road commissioners and some of the other departments don't know what their final number is going to be. They don't know what they're going to be able to ask to be reappropriated. That's the issue. So, you know, the road commissioners work till July 1st, and if for some reason the pavement guy said they were going to be there on June, the second week of June, never showed up, and they got $50,000, when I say the money's lost, it's lost to the department. We know it goes in the general fund, it doesn't disappear. But at the end of the day, it doesn't. It's lost to that department until it's reappropriated. You can't reappropriate it because town meeting's already happened.
Okay. I'm gonna move on this one here. This is a philosophical debate. And, what I wanna do is vote on Article 25 as amended. The amendment was for all non-exempt employees. No, what was a part of it, Tom?
Beginning with the term "and" in this end of the second line.
Okay.
Delete "and to carry any unexpended funds into the next fiscal year, FY 22-23, and excuse me, I'm having difficulty reading with the pause, getting steamed up, but.
Okay, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed? 4-2.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Yes, sir.
We said before we were going to write out the amendments, the motion, so you could reiterate exactly what the petitioner, the motioner wanted. So.
Right.
I understand. We're also getting new warrants as we move along, but that's okay. I understand.
Tom and I are also taking notes for you.
What's that?
We're also taking notes, so.
Thank you, Jim.
If it saves time, we can get your amendments.
Then we go on to Article 21. Did I go backwards?
You were on 25.
You were on 25, so now we're gonna go back to 21?
Oh, sure. And you can see that, they put all the account numbers in there. I would like to call for a new vote on that one there, on Article ahead, Tom.
I'll make a motion we adopt the article as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Thank you.
All in favor?
Did somebody proofread these account numbers?
Yeah, Michelle, I think.
Yeah, Michelle did. I know she did.
A lot of operating budgets in there.
All in favor? 6-0. Thank you. So, up here. And I guess moving on to, we did Article 23, 24, 25, 26. This one here, I want to, Article 27. I've got this. Never mind. Forget it. Article 28, to see if the town will vote to appropriate from the undesignated fund $25,000 for purchase and installation of a new HVAC system in the Acton Town Hall and Townhouse Meeting Room. And as you see tonight, you have two estimates, one for this building and one for that section of the building. And that's what we asked for, with some estimates and specs, and that's what they gave us. So what's your pleasure? I need a motion. You guys want to look at this a little more first, I take it?
This was, Article 28.
I need a motion before we discuss.
Motion we adopt Article 28.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Tom?
I will make a motion to amend that to reduce the appropriation of $12,000 for the office rooms only, and the reason again is, this is an old building, this building isn't gonna last much longer. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me to spend money, and I know there's a question with regard to the heating system in here. It makes sense to do it in the new building, but it doesn't make sense to do it here. We should be looking at replacing this building, and I've been saying this now for 5 years, but, again, my motion is to amend to reduce the recommended appropriation of $12,000.
Did we have an motion already?
Yeah, but you can amend it.
I'm making a motion.
No, I don't think so. I think we got it on the floor. We'll vote on it, then you can amend it.
No, you vote on the
Oh, all
amendment,
right.
and then you vote on the whole motion.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Why is the electric separate? When Luke did my house, I mean, it was turnkey. He came in and,
We have two separate services coming into this building, I think.
I have no idea why it's separate.
I think it's because there are two separate services coming into this building, which is,
Luke doesn't do electrical. Did he bring someone else into your house to do the electrical?
well, I don't know, but it was in his bill. It was
Yeah.
just one turnkey. You don't have two vendors to deal with, two people, two payments. You have one.
He did bring an electrician to my house when he did it.
He knows that the town has their own electrician, so.
Yeah.
Is there a second on the amendment?
No.
Seeing none. All in favor of the original motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? See the town will vote to establish pursuant to 30A MRS Section 5801, parentheses 1, the capital improvement reserve fund for the town hall parking lot reconstruction and to raise and appropriate $75,000 for the same. Tom?
I will make a motion that we recommend this not to pass.
Second.
Any more discussion?
I want to know where we got 75,000. Where'd that number come from? I don't have anything, unless I'm missing something.
There isn't anything, is my understanding, Virginia. It was a, thought of starting a fund, dollar amount to start the fund, and, not doing anything this year, I guess, and just starting the fund.
Is this typical of how capital reserve fund operates?
Not usually without a designated dollar amount of what, for example, the fire truck, we knew a long time that it was gonna be, say, $400,000.
Yeah.
And so we put money towards that, knowing what the end expense probably would be.
But from what little discussion I've heard, I don't have a clue as to what might be a good starting point for just raising.
Right, there's no specs on what the work's gonna be. You know what I mean?
I mean, is it financially, is the town in such a good spot that it makes sense to put up 75,000 now and set it aside?
Not to me.
Can I, Mr. Chairman, can I elaborate on this at all?
Yeah,
The reason we put this forward was it was talk that we wanted to fix the parking lot, do the cracks and everything else. When we had gotten money back from the school, we found that we found this an opportunity to take care of some house cleaning, take care of some projects that wouldn't affect us in the long term. So I put this money forward, talking to the road commissioners and this and that, selecting us about what we're gonna do with the old town gym, the parking lot itself, kind of pumping this all in one thing. With my experience, just paving, reclaiming this yard, we could be into $50,000. And the people that we were talking to agreed. And, if we decided to demo the building and redo that parking lot down there, and change the transition from the town hall here to that parking lot, we can exceed this number. So we found that we are in a very good situation right now because of that money that we received back from the school, that this was something that we put forward, it wasn't going to affect our tax rate, and it was money there that, we could count on to, do improvements in this parking lot.
and the other theory is, you don't spend the money, you can use it towards adjusting the tax rate.
Mr. Chairman? My objection to this is there's a fundamental flaw in the article itself. This is calling for the creation of a statutory capital improvement account, and the article does not meet the statutory requirements for the creation of such a fund. In order for that fund to be created, and this goes to the definition of the term specific, which the selectmen have refused to seek definition on, without a specific definition, you cannot create a capital improvement account. A specific definition being a spec that tells you exactly what the job is that you're doing. So you can do this just like we adopted or accepted 7th Street, but an illegal act by the town meeting doesn't make it legal. Illegal act.
Stay on the warrant article.
Okay, excuse me. An illegal act by the town meeting is still illegal, and the consequences of it are. The inaction to accept this is null and void.
So the motion was, not to, approve Article 29, is that, I got that right?
That's correct, yeah.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also against this because it's not specific enough for me. I mean, it's just, someday we'll get to spend this money on the town. It's not definitive when they're gonna do it, how it's gonna be done. It's just, you're gonna take it from one fund and we're gonna put it into another fund for another day. And I would much rather have a definitive article of spending the money.
Call the vote.
For all those who are in favor of ought not to pass. Opposed?
5-1.
Article 31, to see if the town will vote and raise and appropriate it. $3,259.
Mr.
30, Article 30.
Let's do articles. I was trying to keep the big dollar amounts out of this conversation.
You're blowing it up. Let's go.
Article 30, to see if the town will vote to appropriate from the undesignated fund $175,194 for the payoff of the sand and salt building loan. Can I have a motion?
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
a motion to adopt the article as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I have a question. Under Article 29, why isn't there 2 more lines that say Board of Selectmen recommends Warrant and Finance?
Just fix it, it'll be corrected.
Got it? Okay. All right.
I got a question, Michelle. In the, municipal, government part of it, there was X amount of dollars in there for the loan for the sand salt shed.
So, the total payment is this amount plus that amount. So in case this article failed, we can still fund our monthly payments next year.
I guess I don't know. Does this 175 include what we're raising in
No.
Sooner?
No.
So,
Actually, the balance is 175 plus
Correct.
the normal
200
yearly
and
payment.
whatever. Okay.
Call a vote.
No discussion, I guess not. All in favor? 6-0. Now can I go on to a smaller article? To see if the town will vote to raise $3,259 for health and welfare. This includes $259 for the health officer stipend cost and $1,000 for general assistance.
Make a motion, we accept the article as written.
For a second.
Second.
All in favor? 6-0. I am gonna make a comment about that. I think, especially under the circumstances this past year, and who knows what next year is gonna be, the stipend for our health officer is pretty low. Thank goodness she's willing to do it. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $704,080 for wages and operations expenses for the fire rescue department. Department 104-03, wages, taxes, and benefits, 570, what the heck? Something ain't right there.
So 573, 130, we'll correct it.
What was that again, Jen? I'm sorry.
Is it zero left, Michelle, to do the math real quick, if she's not good with that?
I'm gonna say, oh man, I missed that budget meeting.
$5 million budget for the fire department.
So the extra number is the 4 just before the comma.
573, 350.
Thank you, Michelle. Wages, taxes, and benefits is $573,350. And operational expenses is $130,730. What's your pleasure?
Make a motion, we approve the article as written.
Is there a second?
I'll second it, and I have a question.
Go ahead.
Michelle, in looking over the receipts, I noticed that we're down in the 30% range on reimbursement for ambulance services, going back quite far. What's going on with that? I know that there was an issue several years ago.
Yeah, several years ago, we were lucky to have 30%. Right now, as of today, I just got last month's reports in, and we're just under 50% right now, 48-something% collection.
Okay, so this scenario is improving because it looks to me like over the past few years, it's been pretty low. Have you undertaken any steps to get that to improve, or?
Yes, so recently, last year, we went into contract with the collection agency. So those outstanding bills that the billing company hasn't been successful in collection agency is now going after people. And we're seeing returns every month on that.
A positive response from that approach, okay? And are we making decisions with respect to those which we will pursue and will not pursue?
Yes.
Okay, and that's being done where and by whom?
By the Board of Selectmen.
Okay, and any idea, I'm not gonna get into specifics, but just how much of the overall bill are we exempting? Approximately an idea.
There have been a couple.
Yeah.
Couple.
The board's policy is that only if they are deceased, unless the person that uses the services comes to the board and speaks to them in executive session. Currently, we are writing off just the deceased patients.
Okay, all right.
It is less than 1%, if even that.
Okay.
We probably have maybe a handful with a couple $100 balance of that.
Okay.
The collection sends me a report every month, and they'll report to review before they send over there. So if anything jumps out at us other than a deceased, we take it to the board.
The only other question I would have is, are we getting any negative feedback as a result of having the collection agency pursue these, or do people recognize no negative
I
feedback?
haven't heard anything.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
I have a question.
Virginia.
What kind of a service fee are we paying the collection agency?
33%.
Okay.
Which is typical. We sought out different agencies to get the best price, and it only gets higher.
But it's something. And our new billing service that we've had now for a few years is just really getting, the first couple of years was just really backtracking a lot, so they're getting, so those numbers rising and now being on top of everything, and all new runs, not dealing with the prior company, so it's coming together, the numbers will continue to rise.
Good, thank you.
We're very happy with the company.
Good.
Okay.
Very responsive.
Call the vote, please.
As soon as I say something wrong,
Absolutely.
the issue I have is with the dollar amount is we spend a huge amount of money and time in training everybody over there. And I brought this up last year, and I'll say it again this year. I don't think that the wages that are paid are comparable to keep who we are training. You have people that a first-year fireman has so much training that they stick around another year and they get some more training, and the third year they're into the rescue. And I mean, there's an awful lot of money that we spend on training, which I don't disagree with, but somebody that's been doing this for 5 years or 3 years ought to be compensated at a different rate than some beginning, and they don't have that
Good point.
over there.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? It just for keeping
The
people.
wages this year, there was the only, as far as the per diem rates go, the only request for an increase was for the paramedic firefighter 2. Was an
Right.
increase on that level. I suspect that seeing what's going on in the area at different departments, the rates are going up, and you have to stay competitive with the rates around, because, I mean, your per diem workers will just as soon put up their hours in a different town, and then you don't have responders. There is some money coming in from the feds, and there is a clear guidance on exactly what we'll be able to spend that on, but one of the things that is clear that we can spend it on is pay increase for our emergency responders.
But the next year, the town will have to support the next year, right? It won't be a 1 year.
Well, the payment can come over 2 years, but I mean, it's,
After that.
yeah. After that, the town will have to support
I
it.
mean, just my experience, with my granddaughter and what she's gone through, was down to school 2 years and up here 2 years. And I'm not saying this for her, I'm just saying it brought it to my attention, that it's like that all the way through. And I really wish that another year, we'd look a little harder at making sure we keep, who we're investing in. Yes, now, all in favor of this article? 6-0, thank you. Thanks for giving me a chance to speak, Ron.
No more. I'm sorry?
Said he has to talk faster.
Article 33, to see if the town will raise and appropriate $25,000 for the purchase and installation of a new generator for the fire rescue department.
Make a motion, this article ought not to pass.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, this article ought not to pass. Any discussion?
Absolutely. I have no problem with the fire station needing a new generator. We need more information in regard to specifications. Also, is $25,000 going to be a sufficient amount of money to get the generator? From what I understand, we're only talking to one company. That don't make it. This amount of money, you're supposed to get 3 bids. I understand bids will come at a later date, provided the money gets appropriated.
And in defense of the fire chief, I mean, he has met with and spoken to 3 to 5 companies. I mean, he is doing his absolute best to get them to give him something on paper. This number is based on the one that we got, and you're absolutely right, Roland.
Thank you.
If the money is appropriated, we will go out to seal bid, and at that point, it's hard to get contractors to do it 3 or 4 or 5 months in advance. But they know it's still something that has to be voted on by the people, because their numbers can change at that point. So it is just an estimate.
I have no more discussion.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah, we've been down this road before here. In the 2018 town meeting, we appropriated $8,800 for exact verbiage, purchase and installation of a generator. Never happened that way. It stayed on the agenda for the Board of Selectmen for 15 weeks. And I don't know where the money came from to finally get it in. And we need more specifications. We need more detailed information as to what's going on here. As far as I'm concerned.
This generator for town hall?
What?
Was that some of the generators installing?
Yeah, but the article in 2018 said the same thing. I looked it up.
Yeah.
Purchase and installation, and then we did. Huh?
It got done.
I know, but not for $8,800.
Well, must have, we had those things, but then that Michelle wouldn't have paid outside of that.
The only other thing we have,
Well, if you go back and read the minutes of the meeting and watch the things, you'll find that you were having a problem with the installation, the cost of the installation. And like I say, it was on there, my notes, I went back for 15 weeks, it was on the agenda for the Board of Selectmen. And it's just because you don't have specifics that say, as a turnkey thing, call up the vendor and say, okay, this is what you did, and go with it. And in corporate life, I mean, you went out and got specs, and you you detailed everything down. I mean, you had everything written down, whether they were gonna change a wire or they wasn't, and the bid was gonna be good for so long, and then if it wasn't, it was, but I mean, all the specs were there. And we come up with just a purchase and installation for $25,000. I don't know, I don't see the specifications.
And, okay, I'll call for a vote on this.
Mr. Winchell has a comment.
What's that?
Mr. Winchell has a comment.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Go ahead.
Specify here, you can't give a specific thing to something that we haven't gone out to bid yet on. We're trying to approve the money so we can get those without a bid. So unless, we can't turn around and say, okay, 5 months ago, 3 months ago, whatever, okay, you get all these bids in, okay, with no money. It's different than corporate. Corporate, you know, you approve it through your boss and you write a check. We're going to town meeting, which is months along. So we're just asking for, and he believes this is the money that he's gonna need. If we obviously the bids come higher, then he doesn't get generated.
That won't work, David. Yeah, I mean,
It doesn't work, we've done.
no, what I'm saying is, them not getting a generator won't work.
Well, I understand that, but, you know, this is what the fire chief put through to us.
Understand.
We're having a hard time getting prices outside and this, that, everything. And right now, everybody knows right now that anybody in business right now that does the trades or anything like that, it's hard to schedule anybody to get a bid on anything. So what we're trying to do right now, be proactive. He came in with this number that he felt was secure, that he believes we can work with it. And we can't give any definites because we haven't got the bid yet.
Okay, thank you, David. Tom?
There's a notion out there that we can't go out to bid and we can't contract prior to the town meeting acting, and that's just plain nonsense. Any contract can be offered, or any bid can be offered pending the action of the town meeting. Historically, that has been done, and there's no reason why it can't be done now. I understand that things are in flux in the marketplace right now, so it makes it a little bit more difficult, and nobody's anxious to jump on board. But we're telling people 2 months, 3 months, we're gonna have a town meeting, we're gonna have a vote or not. So give us a price 3 months from now, and make it the best you can, and that's what we'll go with, all right? But show us what you want, show us what you want to spend the money for. That's what this is all about. Show us what you want to spend the money for. That we don't have. Is this a diesel or gas or what, I'll shut up.
All right.
Excuse me.
All in favor of the motion?
What was the motion?
There was a no vote.
Thank you.
All in favor of
Ought not to pass.
not to pass? Please raise your right hand. 5. Opposed? 5 to 1.
I'd like to make a comment.
Go ahead, David.
What if that generator fails? I guess we get emergency money? Yeah, okay. At least we didn't amend it.
They'll, either fix it,
Right.
Does it help if-
Alternately, they can make a presentation to the town meeting. We're only making a recommendation here. The town meeting can do whatever it chooses to do. So, and if the facts are together and you can make a case on the floor of the town meeting, fine. It's a done deal.
If I can just clarify one thing, that we have in the past, Tom, you're right, gone out to bid prior to, with the passing of this article effective July 1, the town act is seeking this. We go out to bid and develop projects. Probably 3 or 4 election terms ago, that stopped because we were spoken to about wasting taxpayer dollars on newspaper ads and postings and, finding tent, because I can't run a generator ad in Smart Shop. You gotta, take the time to find generator companies, mail them the bid, there's a process involved. And not to say that, no one minds doing that, but we were spoken to in a selectmen's meeting about wasting taxpayers' time and money on something that may not even make it to town meeting, pass the town meeting. That's why they started doing it the other way. And now they don't want us going out to bid until after the article is passed. So if it does pass, I'm just telling you.
Okay, I hear you. And I understand.
Why it flips.
I understand.
Because there's
Thank you.
valid points on both sides.
I don't know who would have made that complaint, but that's part of the job.
Thank you, Jen. Article 34, to see if the town will raise and appropriate $58,333 for public safety to be expended as follows: Department 104-7 to 104-40. Streetlights, $1,900, animal control, $18,108, communications, $34,449, emergency management, $3,876. Can I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we adopt the article as presented, but I have a couple questions before we vote on it. Okay.
Yeah, no problem. Is there a
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Tom?
Communications, that includes, I presume, dispatch, and does it include the tower on Blueberry Hill? And what is the status of the lease on Blueberry Hill?
We have,
Right in here.
3 more years? I think it's 3 more years on the lease. It does include dispatch, and it includes the repeater lease from Southern Maine Communications.
Okay.
I know that the EMA director has been actively seeking alternatives to having that lease payment at Blueberry Hill.
The Blueberry Hill lease?
Yes.
Okay, so there is action or movement to get out of this? So what's happening? There's no proposal here. What is taking place?
Still a couple of years left.
Ends July 2024.
Right, so what is the EMA director doing?
Well, as we get closer, he'll discuss that with the board and then present it, but he's not ready to, he's gonna make a presentation to the selectmen first.
Well, we're 2 years out now.
And not to say he's not working on it, but it's not some place, this isn't a place to disclose that until he's prepared with the presentation to the board.
What is it, $1,200 a month? Is it $1,200 a month? What's that? $400 a month? $400 a month, okay. All right, but I think that's something we should be on top of now and preparing to deal with.
Yeah.
Any other discussion?
Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah,
through you, Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask the board if, why the animal control officer is paid $5,213 more than the appropriation this year for the Shapley dog officer. Shapley appropriated $9,175 for the animal control officer. I was just curious as to why we compensate him more.
I have no,
Yeah, so Shapley doesn't raise money for their kennel fees. They use strictly revenues for their kennel fees. So in this $18,000, our shelter contract is included as well as the phone. I know that the hours that have been utilized over there, because now we're looking at hourly wage, because he has to meet the minimum hourly wage. The hours that are spent over there, we're looking at the hours that he actually spends every month, didn't justify an increase. Where over here, the hours are double that he's having to put in.
his hours are double in Acton,
Yeah.
really.
Do you know why that is? I did quite an extensive comparison report to Shapley, and the amount of dog licenses, the amount of spayed females is almost a carbon copy of Shapley, so I don't know why he would have more calls than this. There's about the same amount of dogs.
Yeah, I couldn't speculate, although I would imagine that has a lot to do with our summer population. It's a lot bigger over here than it is in Chapman.
He does come into both towns in terms of his monthly log of calls, so that might be something to compare.
Well, when I figured out the thing, I took out the $3,720 for the kennel, that we pay for the kennel.
Anything further?
I would ask, just because I believe this is where it belongs, another year, under public safety, that our police services be instead of municipal.
I think we talked about that last year, and I
Yeah.
can just make a note.
No, that's fine. All in favor? 6-0, thank you. To see if the town will vote to pay wages and equipment and repair or maintenance of public ways according to the following schedule.
Waive the reading.
Thank you. I believe these rates are just the same as they were last year, is that true?
That's correct.
Can I have a motion, please?
Motion to adopt the article as presented.
Second.
Any discussion?
Recommendation to adopt the article as presented, excuse me.
All in favor? 6-0. Article 36. To see if the town will vote and raise $365,534 and appropriate $389,000 with $24,194 to be appropriated from the state LRAP funds received for servicing reconstruction for District 1 Road Department. Said funds to be dispersed after a project list, including line item budgeting, has been presented to the Board of Selectmen to be expended as follows. Department 10510 to Department 10514. Winter maintenance, $96,811. Summer maintenance, $92,917. Paving and reconstruction, $200,000. What's your pleasure?
Recommend we approve the article as written.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions, discussion? Seeing none? All in favor? 6-0. And again, members, if I say I don't see any questions, if you do have a question, speak up, please, because I might miss you. Article 37, to see if the town will vote to raise $370,534 and appropriate $394,728 with $24,194 to be appropriated from the state LRAP funds received for resurfacing and reconstruction for District 2 Road Department. Said funds to be dispersed after project list, including line item budgeting, has been presented to the Board of Selectmen to be expended as follows. Department 10520 to 10526. Winter maintenance, $96,811. Summer maintenance, $92,917. Paving reconstruction, $200,000. Flat ground road, $5,000. What's your pleasure?
Make a motion we approve Article 37 as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
Tom?
Mr. Chairman, I would offer an amendment to decrease the recommended appropriation or raise of $37,000 to $370,534 to $360,000 and decrease the appropriation amount from $394,728,000 to $385,000. And I will explain that recommendation in a minute. That you will.
I would appreciate an explanation now.
And the explanation is that 7th Street is 2nd District. 7th Street is not a legal town way. And in spite of the fact that the town meeting voted to create it as a town way, it was an illegal act to do it because it's in violation of state statute and municipal ordinance. And an illegal act by the town meeting is Butte.
But the lawyers seem to think it's legal.
No, they didn't say that.
Well, personally, Tom,
That was last.
I find it really, really hard, okay, to support your argument on 7th Street when you were one of the selectmen who approved the town accepting, what's the name of the road, David? No. 13th Street. Off 13th Street.
No, speak up.
No, I'm not talking about Peacock. I'm talking about Covewood, okay?
Back in 1974.
I understand that, okay? But as far as I'm concerned, the town was definitely out to left field by accepting that road when 13th Street was a private road, which caused us to have to plow it. I understand. So, Tom, I don't like, and I can't accept your objection to this particular article because you don't like 7th Street being a town road.
Is there a second
I
to
had
Tom's
nothing to do with Cove Road.
You were the selectman,
No.
No.
if I'm not mistaken. You sure?
Chair.
Okay, no, we're gonna
Whatever.
get back on this,
Over and done.
and
Let's get back on another one. How about flat ground, Tom? Is that a legal road we're spending town taxpayers' money on? You open the book.
I'll speak for Tom. He argued against it.
I
Oh,
wasn't,
you, Dennis?
I wasn't
No,
gonna
it's a
say
town
that.
The town road or is that private road, $5,000 here?
Town, it's a town road,
It's a town road?
yeah.
It's always been a town road.
Absolutely not.
Okay, all right, we're not gonna get into that debate. What we're talking about is the articles, the appropriations, and if somebody doesn't like part of this appropriation, then they can take it up at town meeting. Right now, I want to vote from the Warrant and Finance Committee.
You can't have it because you have an amended motion that was made, which has not been
But it
seconded.
wasn't seconded, so it dies from the lack of a second.
So now you can go back to
So
the
Article
original.
37, all in favor?
As written.
As written. Opposed? 5-1. Good enough.
Moving along.
Article 38, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $184,063 for the shared roads accounts to be expended as follows: Department 10530 to Department 10532. Sand and salt stockpile, $163.25. Public Works, Building and Grounds, $21,038. Can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion, we recommend approval of the article as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Absolutely.
What?
I'm in hopes that, and I don't have a problem with, us recommending approval of this article, but I would hope that the Public Works building, and it's actually buildings, see some benefit from this $21,000. If I'm not mistaken, the building where the bulldozer is located is in need of repair, as in it leaks like a damn sieve. Yes, David?
Well, just to answer that,
Hold on. The bottom line is, we have put this money in here for at least 3 years to put a new roof on that building, and nothing's been done. So what I would say to Roland is echo his concerns, and hopefully, this year, the roof will be, fixed, replaced, whatever has to be done.
Thank you. Like I said, I have no problems, us spending the money, but let's actually get something for it.
Right, we've been talking about this for 3 years. Anyway, all in favor of Article 38? 6-0. to see if the Article 39, to see if the town will raise and appropriate $125,000 for the repair of the canal bridge in conjunction with the town of Wakefield, New Hampshire, and place any unexpended funds to a statutory bridge or culvert reserve account. Can I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I suggest that we should recommend refusal. We don't support this article.
Is there a second? Seeing none.
Make a motion, we accept Article 39 as written.
I second it.
Any discussion? Tom?
This goes to lessons learned. First of all, I assume that everybody saw today the plan that we have for this project. If you haven't, here it is. This is the engineered project, okay? That's what we got, all right? Lessons learned. And this is for you, Virginia, principally. Why we have to go back over old stuff and why we have to remember what's happened in the past. First of these tales is a tale of two salt sheds. Those of us who've been around for a while remember that in the 90s, we got budgeted some money, or given some money by the state to build a salt shed. And our selectmen picked a spot for the salt shed. They were very certain that it was an appropriate spot. Our road commissioners and a number of other people in town said that's not an appropriate spot, it's on top of an old stump dump. Our selectmen were rather insistent, and they told the contractor to go ahead on the spot. The contractor began to dig, found the stumps, and came to the Board of Selectmen, said this is inappropriate. And our selectmen indemnified the contractor, told him to go ahead and do it anyway. Well, we all know what happened to that salt shed, and for good reason. Come salt shed number 2. The proposal came to the Warrant and Finance Committee, and the Warrant and Finance strongly urged the selectmen to seek a soils investigation before going to bid with this project, because unsuitable soils have been found on the site, and the building plus contents is extremely heavy, and we thought they should do this as part of the bid process before it went to bid, so that people would know what they were into. Again, the selectmen decided, no, that wasn't really necessary, so they went ahead and dug, and the contractor came to the selectmen again, said, this site is unsuitable. The selectmen, at this point in time, wisely decided to replace the soil on site, but they never told anybody about this, and I have reason to believe, we were told, that highway funds were spent in order to replace the soils on the site, okay, unappropriated for that purpose. So that project went over budget, and nobody could admit that they'd made a mistake or whatever, or come back to the town meeting and say, we need more money because we have this problem. They covered it up and went ahead, okay? So that's the story of salt shed number 2. Then we can move on to the new fire station. Our fire station, when it was designed back in the mid-90s, our selectmen thought they got themselves a really, really good deal. They got an engineer out of Portsmouth, New Hampshire, who happened to be retired, but he still had an active stamp. He gave him a really, really good deal on the design. Fortunately, the town had some quality control on that project. Bill Lotz volunteered clerk of the works for the town. And as the project moved along, Bill came to me with the shop drawings for the trusses, roof trusses. And I took a look at them. He said, what do you think? I said, I think the trusses are fine. I said, but there's another little qualm here, another question. It looks like these are supported on 2x6 walls. And it turns out that's in fact what it was. Well, 2x6 walls don't go 17 feet high, especially with the loads that those trusses have, or those trusses were putting on them. What happened there was the project had to be redesigned. It was partially redesigned. The engineer, fortunately for the town to some extent, hired a company who was somewhat competent to do it. It turned out instead of 2x6 walls, it needed 2x10 walls. That is as it is. Needless to say, the project went over cost. And it got partly done with, there was another effect, there was another problem with that building too, but that was resolved in a volunteer effort by me. I can go on and on. We have...
Excuse me, Tom. How is this applicable to what is proposed as far as replacing the current bridge which spans the canal without damaging the historical canal? I don't understand how this is applicable.
Because we have no information on what's being done here. We have a written description, we do not have a contract. We don't know who's buying material, we don't know who's doing the work, we don't know who's responsible for the work.
From what I understand, Tom, Mr. Beal and his company is doing all of the work.
We don't have a contract that says that. And Mr. Beal, remember, is an LLC, okay, limited liability corporation.
Yes, sir.
And if you go look at his place of business, he's a farmer. And I don't have a problem with him being a farmer, and maybe he's a very competent farmer. Maybe he's also a very competent bridge builder. But the fact is, there's nothing standing behind this. There's no money here. He's an LLC. If he's totally responsible and something goes wrong, guess where you're gonna be? Nowhere. And don't forget the statute of limitations on this project is 5 years. Assuming you do your job.
What is it you want?
I want a
You know,
contract.
laundry list would be
I want a
good.
contract.
Besides the contract, what else? Anything?
A contract for the job that tells me what it's gonna be.
And that's been provided.
No, I have a letter.
There's one of them that says contract on them.
I don't have a contract here. I have a picture.
In your email and the original pack, I can go print another one off, if you guys all should have one. And just one of the last emails that, remember Dennis at the meeting last week, we talked about that we did things that I sent over the latest after this meeting presentation, we made those changes. That, I sent that to you within the last couple of days, and that has your contract on it. You all have it in your inbox, I can go print it off, if you want to give it that. We have given everything.
Well, I'm going to vote against it until I see a contract, until I'm satisfied the contract is correct, and who's responsible for quality control on it.
Mr. Chair, may I speak?
Yeah.
Want to go back to the reasoning why Mr. Gore doesn't want to do this project because of all these failures before. I want to explain to the finance committee here that what you were just told on, especially the second town shed, as of somebody who did that project with the other road commissioner, I'm offended. I feel like we did this project, it came out, and we did our best to do it within budget. We never dug in a spot that was bad. We actually did what we had to do. We went and did test holes before we did it. The information that was just given was false and makes it sound like we broke some laws, and that's not what we did not. We learned from the prior shed that was put in because of the soils, and we wanted to make sure that did not happen. I would think that Tom might want to get his facts straight before he...
All right.
Thank you.
I'd like to apologize, David, if you took offense to that.
Obviously, I took offense to that.
Okay, and I apologize for that. The information that I conveyed was conveyed to this committee by the treasurer.
The treasure had nothing to do with the digging that was down there that we...
No, I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Everything that we...
All right, that's enough, please.
Past boo-boos don't need to be brought up. whether, you know, whether it was a boo-boo or not, you know, I'm not saying it was a boo-boo, David. I'm just saying, you know, what happened in the past doesn't need to be brought up. We have a proposal for a bridge. It sounds great, okay? I support it. I think if it's done and done correctly, it'll solve everybody's problem as far as leaving that historical canal alone.
I agree with doing what you're saying, Roland, but all Tom was doing was justifying his rationale, for saying no. And
That's totally up to him, Dennis, and I
That's
have
right.
no problem with that.
That's what I'm saying.
Everybody is entitled to an opinion.
You're also dealing with a whole different cast of characters here than you were 15, 20 years ago, whenever that happened, all those things happened.
Well, I
Not
can-
the same people doing things now.
What is the motion before the board?
I was waiting, Jen was getting that contract.
I can go through a list of the things that I was looking for here. Who provides materials listed on the proposal? Who does the necessary excavation? Who disposes of the excavation spoils? What is the grade of fill specification, Maine or NHDOT, to be placed? And who does the compaction and to what specification? Who will determine that the fill is properly placed and compacted? And again, to what specification? Who will determine and certify that the work will not cause damage or failure to the existing canal walls? At what elevation are grade beams to be placed? And by the way, the written description we have here, part of it says that the beams to be placed are 3 by 3, other part of it says they're 3 by 4, but that's a small item. What will be the final grade of the finished slab? Who and how are approaches to be finished? And what will the cost of this work be? And the stamped engineering drawings referred to in the proposal are what? Are they just concrete slabs and the beams? Are they the entire project? And if the Acton Road Commissioners are involved in this project, for whom are they working? Are they working for the town or are they working for the contractor? And who is directing their work? Is the contractor bondable? And if so, is he, and for what is he bonded?
I have a question.
Those are just a few.
Virginia, please. Jen, did you have that?
Yeah, so the February 23rd, that you guys received, all says contract on it, that was part of the 60-day packet that we sent you all. His newest one changed just the scope, the documents that you referred to today, so he replaced the scope on this contract with what he emailed you. This is it.
Okay, well, I'm not in a position to go through this right now.
Well, you've already received it more than once, Tom, so we're gonna ask all these questions.
Okay,
Can I get in one?
oh, I'm sorry, Virginia, go ahead.
That's all right. Not being from an engineering background, I'm wondering, is there a pro forma model for what information should be in a boilerplate contract? I don't want to go by just what one person wants, what's on his want list. I want to know what is standard in the industry. And, I mean, do we consult legal counsel here, or just people in the town that are engineers?
If I research all of the references, this company did in regards to all of the bridges that we've done over the past 40, 50 years, the town of Wakefield is taking the lead on the majority of that. The town of Acton's council can certainly look at it, but he's got the work that this company has done, and maybe here in New York, and he's got years of experience and recommendations, well over the 5 years. And it's really unfortunate that Tom, as much engineering background as we have, we couldn't get that question because we needed those questions to be asked that.
Excuse me, but I emailed you those questions a week ago.
Yes, you did, and I presented them to my board, selectmen, last week of the meeting.
Thank you.
And I think the response that you got was that they would answer them tonight, right? Because we weren't able to put the words together, because the road commission is something kind of, it's hard for me to interpret how to word it properly, so I'm sure if we read them all one at a time, Mr. Winchell is more than qualified to answer them.
Do you want to do that, Tom? Yeah. Or do you want to move on?
That was the plan.
Dennis, I move on. I could not be party to a contract that looks like this, just because it has the label contract on it.
And not to say that's the final document, I mean, it wasn't final, we're trying to go back and forth.
Then let's have the final document that we're going to, that shows us the approaches, what's going to be done, who is going to do it, and where are the elements of quality control in this project, and who ends up hanging if things go bad.
Yeah, and I asked all of those questions for selectors, I'm sure they're happy to answer.
hold on. We're gonna take a vote on this and move on.
Okay, fine.
What was the motion?
To approve Article 39,
As written.
yes. And it was seconded.
Call for a vote.
All in favor? Opposed?
5-1. Please remember, you're just making a recommendation, okay? We don't decide here.
Article 40, to see if the town will vote to appropriate from undesignated fund $75,000 to a statutory bridge culvert reserve account, Department 421. What's your pleasure?
Make a motion the article not pass.
Is there a second?
Which article is this, Dennis Warren?
Article 40, so
I'm sorry.
$75,000 for statutory.
Yeah, that's just a cover, excuse me. I will second the not to pass.
Okay. All in favor of not to pass?
Undecided.
You don't know?
Right.
David?
I think it ought to pass.
What's that?
I think it ought to pass.
Well, I was asking you
You
to
asked
vote.
me.
I know I asked you. You were just sitting there doing nothing, so I wanted to know what you was voting.
I don't have to be asked either. If I want to tell you, I will.
Parliamentary procedures. Either you raise your hand to vote yes, or you raise your hand to vote no.
You didn't say no. You said yes, and I did not raise my hand, did I?
Next.
Virginia, what's your vote?
I'm really undecided. Can I just abstain?
You can't abstain unless you have a financial, reason. You have to state a reason.
No.
No?
Was that 4 yes? 4 yes,
5 or
and 2,
5-1,
no,
4-2, Jim.
ought not to pass.
correct.
Article 41, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $311,470 for the operation of the transfer station, Department 105-40.
Make a motion to approve Article 40, or recommend approval of Article 41 as written.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? 6-0. Article 42, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $15,500 for installing fencing and new concrete pad at the transfer station. Department 105-40. Can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion we approve Article 42 as written.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? 6-0. Article 43, to see if the town will vote and raise and appropriate $250 for the Conservation Forestry Committee. Department 106-1.
Make a motion to approve Article 43 as written.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? 6-0. Article 44, to see if the town will vote and raise appropriate $1,077 for planning and development to be expended as the forester's stipend. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion to adopt the article as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Article 45, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $3,000 for the cemetery committee for maintenance, replacement, placement of flags, markers, and repair of veterans' graves. Can I have a motion, please?
Recommend we adopt the article as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
I'll abstain, because I am on the cemetery committee.
5-0, one abstention.
Thank you.
Article 46, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $2,500 for the Acton, yes, I always have trouble with that word.
Where the hell are you?
Thank you, Virginia, food pantry. I have no idea why I always get tongue-tied with that word. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion to adopt as written.
Second.
Seeing none, all in favor? 6-0. Article 47, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $500 for the American Red Cross. Do I have a motion, please?
Make a motion ought not to pass.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, ought not to pass. Any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman?
Absolutely. The American Red Cross is a great organization. However, their overhead and the amount of money that they spend on administration and operating costs, etc., far exceeds the money that actually comes here. That's my stand.
Aye.
Yeah, I went to see what other towns did, put donations out, and I found some towns that have I thought was a pretty good thing that I like to bring up. One town, there's a town, they require that a personal representative show up at the town meeting to speak for the article, then it's recommended not to pass.
Before you move on, Matt, Arnie, we have done that. We used to do that in the past, and for a lot of years, and then, I don't remember when it was, 3-4 years ago, the selectmen asked that if there was anybody you wanted to hear from, to ask, and they'd have them come. So, I guess it's, our fault we didn't hear from anybody. We should have asked them to come, and they would have. I apologize for that.
And the other one, some towns ask that the petitioner get signatures from taxpayers, like 10 signatures from taxpayers that supporting their cause, as opposed to somebody just writing out letters and sending them out to everybody and not have any, skin in the game, so to speak. So,
Probably not a bad idea. I like that idea, in fact.
Well, another year we can
well, that's what food for thought, right now.
start our process, we'll have the conversation. All in favor of the motion?
And the motion is ought not to pass.
Right. Opposed? 5-1. Article 48, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $1,000 for the Cornerstone visiting nurses.
Make a motion to accept the article as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Question is this what we used to call visiting nurses?
There are different, there are different...
Different organizations?
Different
chapter.
organizations that
Really new.
provide visiting nurses.
But we have visiting nurses already, right? I mean, we have,
Maine Health offers visiting nurses. It used to be Southern Maine visiting nurses, now it's just part of Maine Health. I want to say 2 years ago, Cornerstone came before us and the board supported, and it seemed that the committee supported Cornerstone because Maine Health was charging for the visits. And Cornerstone would come even if you couldn't pay.
and who is Cornerstone, if I can ask, who's Cornerstone affiliated with? Are they affiliated with anybody, or are they?
They are. But,
That's all right. Michelle, you don't have to search that out now.
Okay.
Sure she will.
With that being said, all in favor of the motion? Opposed? Now, which way you voting, David? You didn't raise your hand either way.
Abstaining.
What's that?
Abstaining.
Well, you can't abstain unless you have a financial reason.
It must be. I'll just say no then, how's that?
It's fine with me.
Thank
You
you.
vote how you want.
His letter in the package that we started out with a month or more ago, Cornerstone.
Yeah.
Full page.
Okay, yeah, I saw that. I'm sorry.
It doesn't associate with the hospital or anything like that. It's Cornerstone Health, VNA, Home Health and Hospice.
All right, thank you.
Article 49, to see if the town will vote and raise and appropriate $734 for Caring Unlimited, Department 10920. Have a motion, please.
Motion we accept Article 49 as written.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
I'll be in favor.
Tom, what are you doing?
I'm sorry.
Yes. Oh, I
trying to
just
read
want to
this
make sure I get this right.
Oh, God.
Article 50, to see if the town will vote and raise and appropriate $400 for Kids Free to Grow, Department 109-20.
Make a motion we approve Article 50 as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Article 51, to see if the town will vote and raise and appropriate $610 for Life Flight Foundation, Department 109-20. What's your pleasure?
Make a motion to approve Article 51 as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? 5-1. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $500 for sexual assault response services, Department 109-20. Can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to accept Article 52 as written.
Is there a second? Second from anyone?
Second.
Second. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Five, one. Article 53, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $1,500 for Southern Maine Area on Aging. Can I have a motion, please?
Isn't that agency on aging?
The main area agency on aging, right?
Southern Maine Area on Aging.
Yeah, but isn't it Southern Maine Agency on area, instead of area, agency?
Right, it should be Southern Maine Agency on aging, right?
Southern Maine
Agency, where it's area.
Agency on Aging.
They know.
Not a new one.
No.
Make a motion to approve Article 51 as written.
Second.
53. Or 53. My mistake, thank you.
Any more discussion? All in favor? 6-0. Article 54, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $1,000 for the York County Shelter Program, Department 109-20. Can I have a motion, please?
That the article is presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Article 55, to see if the town will vote and raise $1,600 for the York County Community Action. Can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve Article 55 as written.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Article 56, to see if the town will vote and raise, appropriate $1,000 for the Acton Shapley Historical Society. Can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion this article ought not to pass.
Is there a second? Seeing none, the motion fails. Can I have a new motion, please?
I'm sorry, I should have seconded that, but can
Okay.
Roland, I'm on meds, I'm sorry.
Well, I guess I've already declared so I need a new motion. Roland, you can repeat the motion.
I will make a motion that Article 56 ought not to pass.
I'll second that motion.
It's moved in second or not to pass. Any discussion?
Is this the one down on 109?
The history here is, every year we ask them, what are you gonna do with the money? Okay? The issue is, what are you gonna, if you have a plan to spend, or, I mean, that's the issue that this committee has consistently raised. If you have a plan, come to us with a proposal, but,
Okay.
Did they submit anything? Because we didn't ask them to come here. We're not aware that you wanted to meet with them.
No, the last thing that I've heard, Jen, was that they were trying to get people together to, address the Lincoln School and fix whatever,
What did they submit to you?
but it's a problem of volunteers, getting
I
people
guess
together.
I just feel bad. We never asked them to come before you to tell you, so I feel bad that we give them that chance.
well, I think,
I'm saying.
okay, and I understand what you're saying, and I think the fundamental issue is here, what are you gonna do with the money? It's like when Balsh Lake came to us last year, they had $80,000 sitting up there in reserve, and they're coming to us to ask for money, what are you gonna do with it? Now, so, and any of these, you know, if it's not clear what their services is, I think this committee would be interested in knowing how you intend to spend the money.
This started about 10 years ago. And it was the first time that the acting chaplains ever asked to see the town for any money. And their position was at the time, the insurance company was gonna shut the building down. And, excuse me, they didn't have enough money in their bake sales and fundraisers to address all the issues with the building. And that's how that started.
The two-page letter that they submitted lists a few different things that they want to work on.
But,
No exact dollar amounts attached to them, though.
Right, and we've had this issue with a member of the committee before several warrant and finance meetings. An ex-member of this committee who's now representing and so he understands it, where we're coming from.
okay, all in favor of the motion, please?
What was the motion again?
Ought not to pass.
1, 2, 3, 4. Opposed? 2. 2. Article 57, to see if the town will vote and raise and appropriate $25,742 for the Acton Public Library, Department 109-20. Can I have a motion, please?
Anybody else here? Make a motion,
Go ahead.
make a motion to approve Article
57.
57 as written.
Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Been moved and seconded, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Six zero. Article 58, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $100 for the Center for Wildlife, Department 109-20.
Is that a new one?
That is a new one, I believe.
I don't remember seeing that in
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
We appropriated some money for them. They missed the ball last year.
Okay. Make a motion, we approve Article 58 as written.
Second.
It's moved and seconded, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Article 59, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $1,000 for the Southern Maine Veterans Memorial Cemetery Association. Can I have a motion, please?
I move that we accept as written.
Second.
Any discussion?
Only to clarify that this money is a donation for, flowers, et cetera, et cetera. The money does not go toward veterans' graves or anything else.
I'm sure we wouldn't want to spend any money on our veterans.
Look, I already
All in
chopped
favor?
on it, so.
All in favor? That's just a side comment, Ron.
Yeah,
Article 60, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $500 for the Trafton Center, Department 109-20.
make a motion this article ought not to pass.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I would have no problem giving the Trafton Center $500 if they did not charge for things that they provide to people that go to the Trafton Center.
Well, it's membership, right? Or you don't
No,
know about membership.
they charge, more than just, it's over and above membership.
All in favor of the motion? Opposed? Virginia?
I voted for it.
Which way you voting?
I put my hand up.
I'm sorry, I didn't say.
She voted in favor of the motion.
You didn't look over here.
I'm really trying to do my best.
Dennis, get with the program.
Jen, could you tell me what the vote was?
No, depending on how you, I was just watching to see how you raised it. I didn't see you raise your hand.
I didn't.
Okay, so if you tell me how you vote, I'll tell you what it is.
I am voting, in the affirmative.
That it ought not to pass,
Right.
that would be 4-2.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thanks, I really appreciate it.
Somebody has to keep score here.
Between the foggy glasses and,
Keep reading this.
Next article, please.
hold on a minute. I'm writing. Article 61, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $10,000 for the Acton Wakefield Watershed Alliance. Have a motion, please.
Move that we approve as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Article 62, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $22,000 for the Acton Shapley Youth Conservation Corps, Department 109-20.
Move accept as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? 6-0. Before I start on this is the last page,
Well, just have one more.
last full page. I just want to make sure I was on the right. Article 63, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $300 for the Saco River corridor. What's your pleasure? Somebody must have some pleasure about something.
Recommend adoption of the article as presented.
For a second,
Second.
any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Do you hear my vote?
Yeah,
Okay.
6-0. Article 64, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $14,613 for dam expenditures. Department 109-50, Muslim Watershed Dam Coalition annual maintenance is $8,863. Dam capital improvement fund is $5,000. Balch Lake Dam operator stipend $750.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I would recommend the amendment of this article to change the $14,000, $613 recommended appropriation to $750 and delete the reference to the Mousom Watershed Dam Coalition and the Dam Capital Improvement Fund from the list of expenditures of those funds. And I will explain that if somebody wishes to second the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay. Thank you, Ronnie. Okay, discussion, Tom.
A little over a year ago, actually in January of last year, we met and were presented with a warrant request for an appropriation for an additional $18,454 to complete the project that had begun on the Mousom Dam. We were presented with 3 pieces of paper at that meeting, and there was nobody here from administration to discuss this with us. Now, apparently, from what we're able to glean from the 3 pages of information we have, this was the 3rd change order on this project. But we don't have any, we got no information with respect to a first change order, no information with respect to a second change order. We did get the minutes of the meeting that approved this final change order, and I will read one sentence from the minutes of this meeting. Quote, "Net change and anticipated project costs, 70250-69166, equal $1,084. That's what it says. Acton's share of that would have been $271. I've raised this question before and requested an explanation for why these numbers appear to be so far apart. And I have been refused that information, okay? So until I get that information and have an explanation of the 2 preceding change orders, which were apparently agreed to by administration without consulting the town meeting or this committee, and how this bill of $271 turned into $18,000, I'm not willing to move forward with that relationship until we can find out what's taking place here, where that money's gone.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
so we're talking about 2 different things here. So the article in front of you has nothing to do with what Mr. Orr's concerns are. I would urge you all to go back to the special Warrant and Finance meeting that you guys had. We looked at that 60-page packet that we emailed out to you. We addressed the concerns that Mr. Orr had there. Your Warrant and Finance meeting, which was held before the special town meeting, this committee voted to support the article, so everything that was presented there at that Warrant and Finance meeting appeased this committee, and they voted to support that article, this extra money from the change orders, and then it left that committee meeting and it went to a special town meeting where the voters of the town of Acton also supported it, and the change order was done. The reason that you are being refused this, so to say, this information is because it has nothing to do with this year's warrant. The selectmen very clearly say to you, if you want it, that's great, let's fill out a freedom of information and do it as an individual, but your committee already addressed that project and those change orders. Not only did they make a recommendation on the special town meeting warrant to approve the article as written, the voters approved it. It is completely irrelevant to the articles that are in front of you. We will happily answer any questions on the budget that you have here. But even if we go back to those meetings and replay and let everybody remind you all what happened at that meeting, it can't be changed because the voters approved it. The time to discuss that is in the past. This budget has nothing to do with that. Michelle has a breakdown of the maintenance annual agreement that Ed is a member of the committee, and he can speak on that. And then the Dan Capital Improvement Fund, what the city of Stanford is asking for this year. But they are completely unrelated articles.
I would only suggest that I have requested this information at least twice now and have been refused.
After the town meeting has already happened. That is correct.
It's still relevant to the business of this committee.
What's the motion that's in front of the board?
To amend
the dollar amount from $14,613 to $750. Is that right, Tom?
That's right.
And that was seconded, Donnie? Was that seconded by you?
Yeah.
Call the vote, please.
I think we can all remember, those of us who were at that meeting will remember pondering over the fact that there was nobody here to answer any questions, and the paper didn't explain what the questions were, or what questions we had. I do not remember the exact circumstances under which the committee decided to go with it, just on the assumption that, well, there must be some reason for it, and my recollection is that I voted in opposition to that, and I remain in opposition to it. Till we understand what that money went for.
Thank you, Tom. I've asked questions about this agreement, and I really think this dollar amount has grown legs, and I don't agree with it. So, anyway.
you have a motion?
Do we have a motion? All in favor of the motion? Please signify by lifting your right hand.
The motion is to amend
Amend the dollar amount,
down to 750.
750 for the dam operator.
And how many yes votes do you have on that?
I don't have any yet, they haven't called for it.
Oh, I thought you did. I saw some
I did,
hands,
but you-
I saw some hands in the air.
No. All in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand.
One.
It's okay, Arnie.
All, I'm sorry, opposed to the motion.
5.
I do wish that another year that we can really look into.
Can we make another motion or no?
Absolutely, we have to make a motion.
Make a
because
motion, we adopt Article 64 is written.
What do you mean? Why do we have to make another motion?
Because Tom,
Didn't pass that one, right?
What?
He's
The
right.
motion didn't pass, right?
that's correct.
Right, so it's 5-1.
But we only voted on the amendment that Tom offered. So now we're back to
Okay.
what we have in front of us.
What's your motion, David?
Adopt Article 64 is written.
I'll second it.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Opposed? 4-2. Article 65, to see if the town will raise $3,500 and appropriate $37,696 with $34,196 to come from fiscal year 22 franchise fees, revenues for appropriation of the Acton Public Access TV, also known as APAT, and carry over any unused funds to an APAT capital equipment fund.
Make a motion, we approve Article 65 as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? I'm sorry, any discussion? All in favor? 6-0. Article 66, to see if the town will vote to raise $12,470 and appropriate $15,340 for the operation of Recreation Department, with $2,870 to come from anticipated revenues.
Recommend the adoption of the article as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr.
Go
Chairman?
ahead, Arnie.
Yeah, I'd like to, I looked at I looked at 3 reports I got here, and looking at this would be Michelle's. In the expense summary report, it says there's $14,453 left over. In the carry forward fund, it says there's $39,899 left over. And the auditor's report says there's $10,703 left over. And I'm in opposition to this because when we had them here and they talked, we asked them about what they plan to do on the swimming thing. They hadn't even asked any of the people if they wanted to have swimming. When I asked the woman, she said they didn't know if they had a need for $2,500 for swimming lessons because they hadn't polled any of their members. So, I mean, I don't know. Right now, it seems like they're floundering, and I'm opposed to the dollar figure here. I don't know what should be right, but they can present this at town meeting and explain it, and
Arnie, what are they asking for, an appropriation?
they're asking for appropriate $15,340.
You said they have $10,000 already sitting there?
Well, one says 14, one says 10, and the other one says 39. I don't know.
Do you know, Michelle?
In their capital improvement fund, there is, I just lost it. All right, $20,000 and some change.
That's in the their capital improvement fund?
Yes.
And is it, what was left over last year, is that rollover goes into that capital improvement fund?
From the prior year, yes, and this one,
I don't know, I just looked at those reports and just, I don't know.
Yeah, so, I mean, Mr. Murray is correct to some extent, as far as, I mean, they are still working on figuring out. The rec committee is one of those committees that has gone from fully committed, full committee to nothing, full committee, nothing. We've been at nothing for a while, and then COVID hit. We had 1 or 2 people join, we just gotten 3 or 4, so when it was time to put the budget together, they were brand new, and they had 1 meeting. So I do expect that they will have a nice presentation for you at town meeting. So certainly vote however you feel appropriate, and we'll make sure they have more information. Now they've had a chance to fill the committee, they've got enough people, and they can make some solid decisions. To be right, at budget time, they were doing the best they could with 1 or 2 members.
Do they have a carrying operating fund that is carried?
for this current fiscal year, in last year's budget was voted to carry forward, and this one, it does not.
We don't vote to carry forward, so there's no appropriation if we don't make an appropriation, is that correct?
Correct. There's just money in the capital improvement fund, but nothing to spend it on.
Okay. Michelle, do you know why it changed this year from, because what we were doing was the money that appropriated and raised was carried over into the capital improvement fund?
The previous committee had a plan for what they wanted
Yeah,
to,
right, they had a
for
five-year
capital
plan.
improvement they wanted to
Yep.
do. This new committee is too new to have a plan. So they didn't have a plan, so it didn't make sense.
The plan wouldn't be the same for the rec department?
Right.
Well, they have different ideas on the capital plans. I've sat down with them and kind of given them an idea of what the history shows. They've got some different ideas. They're also trying to spend out, and they did most of the sports because of COVID. They're using that opportunity to stock up on, some uniforms and balls and, things like that. So that was another reason I think it's not to, usually not to roll it over because they have a fair amount of money that they're doing.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
what is the motion that is before the board?
I believe the motion was to approve the article.
Call the vote, please.
All in favor of the motion? Opposed? 4-2.
I think it was 3.
Yeah.
4 to, yeah.
Was? I thought David, Virginia, Roland, Nate.
What?
Virginia voted.
Voted no.
Oh, you voted against it? Sorry.
Thank you.
Basis for discussion on the floor of the town meeting, that's all.
Yeah. And we'll work with that.
Well, 3-3 is a no vote.
Right, but it's just a
Yeah.
recommendation, so it's not really a vote per se.
That's correct.
You'll see the committee was split.
Next article, please.
To see if the town will vote to appropriate up to $5,000 from the Recreation Capital Improvement Fund for tree removal on the Route 109 ball field.
Make a recommendation to approve the article as written.
Second?
Isn't this the second year they've done that?
Different trees.
No, it isn't.
Is the roof of the parking lot, was it last year?
Yeah, last year was 2 utility parking lot.
And tree removal. 2,000 for the parking lot and 5,000 for tree removal.
Is
there a fence that runs down along that line?
Yes.
They're gonna have to drop across can they drop the fence out of the way or what?
I don't know, that's up to whoever they hire, I guess, Tom.
Cheaper than hiring a truck to come in and lift them. But,
Any discussion?
Yeah,
Go ahead, Virginia.
from the numbers you were reading, don't they already have enough money to do this?
They have found several more trees than they had anticipated last year. There are a few that they will get down this year, but there's more, and they wanted to clear, I believe it was visibility for parking, to keep people off the road. I can't say for sure, but they wanted to take out some extra trees, that not just dead trees, but extra trees to get people away from the road, because the overflow was going into the road.
This is appropriate, they're not raising, this is appropriate, allow them to take half that, make capital improvements, spend
But
money.
I guess my thought is, depending on the size of these trees, can it be done, some of it be accomplished by volunteer work?
Our insurance is very, insurance and trees and saws never well done.
Well, to begin with, we're not talking about raising any money. They already have that money sitting in an account. So basically, we're talking about
So the answer was yes to my question.
approving them to spend $5,000 to get this work done.
To clarify, my understanding is, talking to the fire chief last year before everything went, that when you go into the parking lot, there's trees between the parking lot and the property line. And they wanted to take those trees out to the property line so they could hopefully put another row of cars in there to alleviate the parking on the 109. There was some trees out between the ball field and 109. It was brought to their attention, there was a safety issue of a few trees. And
It's not mine.
the remainder of the money, they were going to start on the backside by the fence and hire somebody to come in and cut and chip that to get a 20-foot barrier away from the fence. And they wouldn't know exactly what the total cost would be until they see what somebody like an Abbott Hill or somebody could do there for a day's work, whether there was nobody that could say, you know, is this gonna take a week, is it gonna take a month? We also have a drainage pond out there that we're supposed to be maintaining, by agreement with the DEP, and that hasn't had anything done to it since it was installed. So these are all concerns that they had, in the future.
They change, unfortunately, unless we get them to watch those videos, which is absolutely.
No, I appreciate that, but the chair of the rec committee was part of the process before, when all this stuff was drawn up. I'm just explaining whether they do any of it or not is totally, but this was the plan.
most of these pines are,
Move the question.
approaching 100 years old.
Anyway,
End of their lifespan.
all in favor of Article 67? 6-0. Article 68, to see if the town will vote to appropriate all funds received from the state from snowmobile registration revenue to local snowmobile clubs for maintaining their snowmobile trails on condition that those trails are open to the public for outdoor recreation purposes at no charge. Can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve the article as written.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? 6-0. Is that true, Arnie? Article 69, to see if the town will vote to increase the property tax levy limit established for the town of Acton by state law in the event that the municipal budget approved under the preceding articles will result in a tax commitment that is greater than the property tax levy limit.
I'll make a motion, we recommend adoption of the article as presented, and I have a question for administration.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Go ahead, Tom.
Does the article reflect the new statute that I'm unfamiliar with, or?
No.
What is the origin of this?
What's that?
What's the argument?
Does the article reflect the adoption of a new statute that I'm unfamiliar with, or why is this included in here?
We've had this, that's been in law for years, quite a few years now.
Yeah, that's been in law for a long time. This is in here because...
Long time is short.
Depends how old you are, it's a long time ago.
When you're in your 70s, long and short, believe me. But excuse me, go ahead.
We expect that, because the school budget went down and there was the $500,000, the board has put forward just about $500,000 in extra projects on the municipal side. And when you're looking at the property tax levy limit, it's only looking at the municipal side, it's not looking at the school. So, we might be able to maintain, or we'll definitely be able to maintain a tax rate without an increase. The appropriations will still be higher than last year's limit.
Thank you. Gotcha.
Required by law, and if you do much digging, you'll find that it's normally has to be voted on by written secret ballot, but because of COVID on this article, there is a governor's order that lists it for this town meeting, so. We'll announce that.
Thank you.
Did you say this has to be a voter secret ballot then?
This particular article, at the time it's incorporated, it has to be on written secret ballot.
Well, any more questions, conversation?
Motion to adjourn.
We don't vote on this.
Oh, yeah.
I realize that's all the time.
I got a glass of wine under my belt, I'm sorry.
All in favor? 6-0. Thank you, everybody, for putting up with me this year. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your efforts,
Yes, thank you.
Hasn't been easy, or
No.
especially for you.
Oh, I have a motion to adjourn now.
Is there any further business in
No.
front of this board?
No, there isn't.
Good. Motion to adjourn.
All in favor? 6-0. Thank you, everybody.